Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Irene from High Vibe Healing. I wanted to come on and talk a little bit about something that happened a few weeks ago that has really stuck with me. So I was having a really amazing morning. It was a Saturday morning. I went to spinning class and I was really feeling just on top of the world. Um, and as I was leaving the parking lot, I got in my car, I put on my seatbelt, I drove through the parking lot, and I got to this intersection. So, this is a kind of a small intersection, four-way stop with red lights and whatnot, and traffic's going. And then the lights change, and it's my light to turn left on green. But for some reason, I just felt in my body that I shouldn't go. And so 1 second goes by, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a long time. I sat there at that light. And there was maybe like one or two cars behind me. They're probably wondering, why is she not moving? I was fully consciously aware of not making a left turn. I just felt like I shouldn't. And, I had this feeling that this big white van was going to go through the light. So this big white van comes up to on the left side of me, and they stop at the light. And I was like, oh gosh, well, that car stopped. So I should be fine. I should be able to just make my left turn and go. But I just sat there a little bit longer. And yeah, right after that, another big white van just plummeted through the light. I want to say this car was probably going 45 to 60 miles per hour. And if it wasn't me, it would have been the person behind me. And so I sat there and I said, oh, now I can go. Okay. So I made my left turn. Uh, Not surprised that, that was the guidance that came through. And I'm driving down the road and I'm like, wow, that was almost a T-bone. Well, I'm glad I was listening to my body. I'm glad I was listening to my intuitive intelligence. I'm glad I was listening to the inner knowing, that dialogue inside that doesn't necessarily always have words. It just has insight. Um, and I listen all the time. I'm always listening to my body. I'm always listening to my intuition. I'm always listening to that intuitive intelligence that runs through me and all of us. It runs through every single one of us. It's just a matter of whether we tune into it or not. So I'm sitting there in the car driving slowly now down the road. And, it's a Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m., not a whole lot of traffic. And I stop at the light and think, wow, okay, let me just replay that in my head. If I would have just made a left turn, I would have been in an accident. And everyone's lives would have changed, right? So the person who hit me or the person behind me, his life would have changed. My life would have changed. The person behind me, their life would have changed. And probably everybody who witnessed it, their lives would have changed too. And, there's opportunities for our lives to change in every moment of every day. But this wasn't exactly the one type of change that I was really interested in exploring right now. So I sat there in my car full of gratitude, and awe. And I laughed a little bit. It was the awkward laugh where you're like, oh my God, that just happened or didn't happen, or whoa, wow, okay. Just another day in Michelle's life where she's listening to the intuitive guidance that's coming through and paying attention. And here we are alive. Yay. So, yeah, it was pretty intense. And, at first I was going to shrug it off like, okay, just another one, another situation where, I feel something and I listen to the guidance and then, I dodge a bullet. Yay. Or, I pick a certain direction and it, is positive and goes really well for me or someone else, right? And so I'm very grateful for the intuitive intelligence that flows through. And I'm very grateful to have the guts and courage to listen to it and acknowledge it and act on it. So, I'm still driving down the road, haven't quite really fully grasped what that was all about. In fact, I was almost about to just kind of blow it off, but like, oh yeah, sure, that happened. I'm the only one who saw it. Sure, it was a whole 10 plus seconds that I was sitting at that light. And, maybe I just made it up in my head. If we start to replay it, we start to question it after something really major happens. And so, I'm probably like 5 minutes down the road now. And this person in a car pulls up next to me in the middle of the road and she starts waving at me. And I'm like, oh, who's this person waving at me? We're not at a stoplight. And I look and I'm like, hi. And they roll down their window and I roll down my window and she says, oh my God, you almost got hit by that car. And I was like, oh, you saw that. Okay. And she said, you didn't go. And I said, yeah, I felt like I shouldn't go. And she said, I was right behind you. And I said, oh, well, I'm glad I didn't go. And she looked at me and she said, I'm really glad you didn't go too. And I could just feel her emotions as she was playing out her own story of how that could have unfolded. And I said, well, thank you for pulling me over, or thank you for flagging me down. And I'm glad you're safe. And she said, I'm glad you're safe too. And then, we part ways and she drives away. And that's when it hit home. Ooh. So as soon as she said, I saw this, that it became more real, I guess. And then I just cried. I probably cried for like, I don't know, like a half an hour or longer. And I was like, wow, I almost just died. She almost just died. We almost just died. But we didn't. But this comes back to, again, how do we navigate our intuitive intelligence? How do we listen to our body? How do we allow ourselves to tune into the signals that are always in our field of influence? I mean, I even felt it was going to be a big white truck. and I thought, my mind was playing tricks on me when a big white truck came and stopped at the stoplight next to another car, but it was a 3-lane street. And so that last lane ended up being occupied by the large white vehicle that drove through the light. And 10 seconds is a really long time. I sat there at that light, and it's funny. I wonder if the lady behind me, I wonder if she was thinking, God, why is this woman sitting there at the light? I've got somewhere to be. Yeah. She probably thinks I'm playing with my phone or something, but I'm literally sitting there because I feel like there's going to be a car that drives through the red light. And then there is. And then we're both okay. And the car that plummeted through the red light, he's also safe. So I remember in the car, I'm driving home and I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to this work gathering later tonight. And I was playing in my head, oh, Michelle, what'd you do today? Oh, I just went spinning and, dodged a car crash because I was listening to my intuition. Normal stuff, Michelle stuff. I mean, I know we all get intuitive guidance that comes through. Maybe some of us will pretend it's not real or just second guess it. or just laugh it off and say, oh yeah, right, whatever, that's not real. Um, but it's a matter of how much you want to tune in and choose to use those skills. We all have them. I mean, and grow up, you see people driving cars, and then you go to driver's ed and you take a test and you watch videos, you watch movies, and you see people around you driving cars, and then you get behind a wheel and it feels all unnatural and new, and then you figure out how to drive a car and it becomes second nature, and it's almost unconscious when you drive your car. And I'm using this example right now, not as we're unconsciously driving our cars through red lights, but I'm using that example in relation to our intuition and the intuitive intelligence that we have. We don't really learn in school, like, oh, you can use your intuition to help navigate the challenges of life. We don't. We don't grow up around a lot of role models that say, oh, I'm listening to my intuitive guidance, and my body just tells me that I shouldn't do this, or that it's not going to be very favorable for us to make this big life move. That's not a dialogue that we have in our society as much today. I would say it's starting to become more common in the last 10, 15 years, mostly in the last 5. But it's not like you see people driving a car and you go to driver's ed and then you get trained to be ready to drive a car. But driving a car is not a natural innate skill yet. It's something that we all end up learning how to do if we live in a town where there's cars and we can get a car to drive or something. But our intuitive intelligence, it's one of those things that's under the hood that a lot of people don't even know they have, because we don't really talk about it. A lot of people stumble upon it because they're just so in tune, and after so many instances, they're like, oh gosh, why are there all these coincidences? Why do I keep getting these flashes and they keep happening? And what is this? That's intuitive guidance. That's intuitive intelligence. That's something that we all have and can tap into. So the question is, how do you want to use it, right? I would say that a lot of people who are very highly successful are extremely intuitive. We talk about emotional intelligence and intellectual intelligence. But, when you couple intuitive intelligence with emotional intelligence and intellectual intelligence, wow, that's like a trifecta. That's a lot of potential. So I hope this story, I hope my real life story of 3 Saturdays ago inspires you or someone who watches this to take another look at their intuitive intelligence and contemplate, what is intuitive intelligence? What are my gifts in that realm? And how can I tap into them? So it's not every day that your intuitive intelligence is going to save your life, but it could help you navigate life and challenges with family and friends and work and direction. So yeah, best of luck to you on your journey exploring your intuitive intelligence, and just know that it is real and you can navigate your way to how deep and far you'd like to explore your gifts. Thanks for spending this time with me, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.